OD as a spectrum across different kinds of organizations. So OD can be for CBOs, it can be for early stage, it can be for your regular grants, mid-sized organizations, but OD is an important part. So we call it strengthening civil society organizations. What has happened in the last 3-4 years is we've realized NGO is a very umbrella term. NGOs could mean many things. It could mean a community-based organization. It could mean a very small grassroots organization. It can mean a union. It can mean a collective, a network. And they're all very differently structured. Their needs are very different. The way we look at them as a grant maker should also be very different. So this is just an example of the kind of rigor that goes in from our side when we add a thematic area, or when we say, what do we mean while expanding the scope of our own grant making work. So Strengthening Society is a very recent addition. It came up about 2 years ago, just on the heels of COVID. And we said that if we look at this cluster, there are 3 parts to this. There is early stage organizations. There are very small nascent organizations in this country who, because of the FCRA rules especially, are going to die out if there is no support given to them. So these are from marginalized leaders who are from the community, who have started especially rights-based work, which is considered risky in today's environment, and who are supporting very vulnerable communities but have just registered 3 years or 5 years ago. They have a program model they've piloted, but clearly there is no institutional funder that wants to support them. And in every theme you will find an early stage organization, especially in remote geographies in the country. That was one. The next was, we said there are community-based organizations. So an NGO is fine, it's an institution, right? You want your HR, your systems, your policy, and then there is a leader, there's a team that works in a service delivery mode for an organization. But what about community-based organizations? Organizations that communities are creating on their own. A lot of the work that you see, especially again in rights-based work, which is transgender communities or Adivasi communities, or even when we talk about welfare or Dalits, you want communities to mobilize themselves, because we believe that's the most powerful tool going forward, right? They cannot be, unless the community comes together and demands their rights and entitlements, the ecosystem is not going to change. So we're saying community-based organizations are very important in this country. And the third is what Dhwani does and what we support Dhwani for, which is enabling civil society. Saying that there are good organizations, they do not get money to improve their systems and processes. So how do we invest in making organizations stronger? How do we invest in their HR, their leadership, their systems, their processes, their finance, so that because of their internal processes and compliance, they never have to not receive money. Of course, receiving money is one, but can they be more streamlined and more compliant? Again, given the complexity of the environment today. Right? So that's what we're sort of getting into, and that's where we work. So community-based organizations, it's again a very broad term, but we are going across the country and we're looking at organizations that work deeply with communities. So a lot of times I think there's a certain pressure to call yourself an NGO when actually your work is embedded in the community. And in that case, it's okay to not have all the policies. It's okay to not have a great organization structure, but your work is essentially collectivizing, mobilizing communities. And we want to encourage that kind of work. So the kind of things that we do support is improving your internal governance systems, kickstarting your program, some money for travel, office space, admin expenses. Also, we say that community-based organizations do not get money for their everyday activities. So some kind of stipend to leaders, right? So we're looking at different ways of giving, and CBOs is a new way. So then there's early stage organizations. I already spoke about it. Early stage organizations are theme agnostic. It can be in any theme, anywhere in the country. Very small organizations, they need mentoring support, they need program support, travel support, basic admin costs. And in this, we're only interested in the might of the leader, right? How good is the leader? And ideally, they must be represented from marginalized communities themselves. Their teams must be made of marginalized communities. There must be volunteerism in their spirit. So how do early stage organizations start growing and scaling their work? That's something we're interested in. And there's enabling civil society, which is again a very new theme where we are talking about organizational capacities. So we want to invest in OD as a spectrum across different kinds of organizations. So OD can be for CBOs, it can be for early stage, it can be for your regular grants, mid-sized organizations, but OD is an important component.